The rain fell hard on the broken streets of Old Seoul. Hana Kwan ran through the ruins with her team close behind. Their boots splashed through puddles filled with dirty water. Behind them, the sound of enemy soldiers grew louder. "They are getting closer," shouted Minseo, one of her teammates. He was breathing hard and carrying a heavy pack of supplies. Hana did not look back. She knew the Vryloth hunters were fast. The alien soldiers had better weapons and better armor. But Hana knew these ruins better than anyone. She had grown up here, hiding from the empire that ruled Earth. "This way," she called out. She led them down a narrow alley between two collapsed buildings. The walls were covered in old writing. Some of it was Korean. Some was in languages she did not know. All of it was from before the conquest, before the Vryloth came and took Earth. That was 500 years ago. Humans were spread across the galaxy now. Most were slaves. Some were workers who barely earned enough to eat. A few, like Hana, fought back. They were called the Resistance. They hid in ruins and attacked small enemy targets. They saved what humans they could, but they were losing. Everyone knew it. A laser blast hit the wall near Hana's head. Pieces of stone flew everywhere. She ducked and kept running. The Vryloth were too close now. Her team needed a place to hide. "We cannot outrun them," Eminseo said. Fear filled his voice. Hana's mind raced. They were searching for old supply caches, hidden weapons from before the conquest. The Resistance needed anything that could help them fight. But now they might not live long enough to bring anything back. Then the ground beneath her feet felt different. She looked down. There were strange marks in the stone. They formed a pattern she had never seen before. Without thinking, she pressed her hand against the largest mark. The ground shook. A section of the street began to slide open. Bright light came from below. It was clean light, not like the dim emergency lights they usually found in ruins. "What is that?" Minseo asked. "I do not know," Hana said. "But it is better than getting caught." She jumped down into the opening. Her team followed. The entrance closed above them just as the Vryloth soldiers arrived. They could hear the aliens shouting, but the sounds became quiet quickly. Hana looked around. They were in a huge underground room. The walls were made of metal that still looked new. Lights turned on automatically as they walked. Everything was clean. Nothing was broken or old. "This place is ancient," whispered Sujin, another team member. She was their tech expert, but the power still works. "How is that possible?" They walked deeper into the chamber. Strange machines lined the walls. Hana could not read most of the labels, but some were in Korean, old Korean from before the conquest. One machine showed a hologram. It displayed star maps and battle records. "Look at this," Sujin said. She pointed at the hologram. "These records show Earth fighting wars, big wars, against aliens we never heard of." "That cannot be right," Minseo said. "Everyone knows humans were weak before the conquest. That is why the Vryloth won so easily." But Hana was not listening. She was looking at something else. In the center of the room stood a large glass pod. It was filled with blue liquid. Inside the liquid floated a man. He looked human. He wore strange black armor. His eyes were closed. She walked closer. Words were written on the pod in Old Korean. She read them slowly. "The Sentinel, guardian of humanity. May he sleep until needed. Is he alive?" Sujin asked. The machines around the pod showed numbers and lights. Everything looked active. "I think so," Hana said. "This is a sleep chamber. An old one." A loud bang echoed through the chamber. The Vryloth had found the entrance. "They were breaking through. We need to leave," Eminseo said. "Now." But there was no other exit. They were trapped. The banging grew louder. Metal began to tear. The Vryloth would be inside in seconds. Hana looked at the pod, at the sleeping man, at the words about a guardian. She did not know who he was. She did not know if the old legends were true. But she had no choice. She pressed the emergency release button. The pod made a loud hiss. The blue liquid drained away fast. The glass opened. The man inside fell forward. Hana caught him. He was heavy, much heavier than he looked. His eyes opened. They were dark brown, completely human. For a moment, he looked confused. Then he heard the sounds of breaking metal. He heard alien voices shouting in their language. The man stood up. His movements were smooth and fast. He looked at Hana, then at her team. Finally, he looked at the entrance where the Vryloth were breaking through. "Get behind me," he said. His voice was calm. Too calm for someone who just woke up. The entrance exploded inward. 20 Vriloth soldiers rushed in. They were large aliens with gray skin and too many arms. Each carried powerful weapons. They wore armor that could stop normal bullets. They were the Empire's elite hunters. They saw Hana and her team. They raised their weapons. Then they saw the man from the pod. The man moved. Hana could barely follow what happened. One moment he was standing still. The next moment he was among the Vriloth soldiers. He moved faster than anything she had ever seen. Faster than their bullets. Faster than their tracking systems. His fist hit the first soldier's chest. The armor crumpled like paper. The soldier flew backward into 3 others. They all crashed to the ground and did not move. The other soldiers opened fire. Laser blasts filled the air. The man did not dodge. He did not need to. The lasers hit him but did nothing. They just made small lights on his armor and then faded away. He grabbed a soldier's weapon and crushed it in his hand. Then he pushed the soldier away gently. The alien still flew across the room and hit the wall hard. It took 30 seconds. When it was over, all 20 Vriloth soldiers were on the ground. None of them were moving. The man stood in the center of the room. He was not even breathing hard. Hana and her team stared in shock. They had fought the Vriloth for years. They knew how strong the aliens were. They knew how good their armor and weapons were. They had seen entire resistance cells destroyed by just 5 Vriloth soldiers. This man just defeated 20 of them without breaking a sweat. The man turned to face them. "Is everyone hurt?" he asked. "No," Hana managed to say. "We are fine." "Who are you?" "My name is Taeyang," he said. "I was Earth's protector. I went to sleep to let humanity grow strong on their own." "How long was I asleep?" "The date," Sujin said quietly. She checked her device. "According to this chamber's records, you were supposed to sleep for 1,000 years. But there was a malfunction. You slept for 5,000 years." Taeyang's face showed no emotion, but Hana saw something in his eyes. "Pain, maybe, or regret." 5,000 years, he repeated. "Then tell me, why are aliens attacking humans on Earth? What happened?" Hana did not know how to explain. How do you tell someone that everything they protected is gone, that humanity is enslaved across the galaxy, that Earth fell 500 years ago? She took a deep breath and told him everything. When she finished, Taeyang was quiet for a long time. He looked at the broken Vriloth soldiers on the ground. Then he looked at the scared humans standing before him. Finally he spoke. "Where is their leader?" he asked. His voice was calm, but something in it made Hana's skin cold. "This emperor who conquered Earth, where is he?" "He rules from the capital world," Hana said. "Far from here. It would take weeks to reach him, and his planet has thousands of ships protecting it." Taeyang nodded slowly. Then he walked to the chamber's computers. His fingers moved across the controls. He found what he was looking for quickly. Star maps appeared. Battle records. Old warnings written by species that no longer existed. "These records," he said, "they told the galaxy not to threaten humanity. They said the Sentinel would wake if Earth was in danger." "Did your enemies not read these warnings?" "They thought it was just a story," Sujin said. "A myth. No one believed the Sentinel was real." "Then they made a mistake," Taeyang said. He turned to face Hana and her team. "You are resistance fighters. You still fight even though you are losing. That means there are more like you. Take me to your leaders. We need to talk. What are you going to do?" Hana asked. Taeyang looked up at the ceiling as if he could see through it to the sky above. To the stars where the Vriloth Empire ruled, where humans suffered and died. "I am going to give them a message," he said. "They have 7 days to leave Earth, 7 days to release every human they enslaved. If they do not, I will make them leave. And I will show this galaxy why the old species feared humanity." Hana looked at this man who just woke from a sleep that lasted 5,000 years. This man who defeated 20 elite soldiers in seconds. This man who spoke of challenging an empire like it was nothing. For the first time in her life, Hana felt something she had not felt since she was a child. Something she thought was dead. She felt hope. The resistance base was hidden deep in the mountains. Hana led Taeyang through secret tunnels that took hours to walk. Her team followed quietly. No one spoke much. They were still trying to understand what they had found. When they arrived, dozens of fighters stared at them. These were hard people. They had lost families and friends to the Vriloth. They fought with old weapons and broken equipment. They did not trust strangers. Commander Daehyun was their leader. He was a big man with scars on his face and arms. He had fought the Vryloth for 20 years. He walked up to Taeyang and looked him up and down. "So this is the famous Sentinel," Daehyun said. His voice was cold. "You slept for 5,000 years while we suffered. What makes you think we need you now?" Taeyang met his eyes. "You do not need to trust me," he said. "But I can help you win. That is all that matters. Win?" Daehyun laughed. It was not a happy sound. "We have been fighting for decades. The Empire has millions of soldiers and thousands of ships. What can one man do against that?" "Let me show you," Taeyang said. He asked for a ship. Hana gave him hers. It was small and old, but it flew. Taeyang studied the controls for a few minutes, then took off. The Resistance watched on their screens as he flew toward a Vryloth military base. The base was one they had never dared attack. It had 500 soldiers, heavy weapons, and shields that could stop missiles. The Resistance had lost good people just getting close to it. Taeyang's ship landed right in front of the main gate. The Vryloth opened fire immediately. Weapons that could destroy tanks hit his ship. The screen showed fire and smoke everywhere. When the smoke cleared, Taeyang was standing outside the ship. He was not using any weapons. He simply walked toward the base. Missiles and laser blasts hit him. He kept walking. His armor did not even scratch. Then he reached the wall. It was solid metal 3 feet thick. He punched it. The metal crumpled. He tore a hole big enough to walk through. Inside the base, soldiers tried to stop him. They shot him with everything they had. Nothing worked. Taeyang moved through them like wind through grass. He broke their weapons but did not kill them. He destroyed their vehicles and computers. In 10 minutes, the entire base was disabled. Then he did something strange. He found the command center and used his bare hand to carve words into the wall. The metal melted under his fingers like butter. When he was done, he flew back to the Resistance base. The Resistance fighters stood in silence. Daehyun stared at the screen. His mouth was open. "What did you write on the wall?" Hana asked. 7 days, Taeyang said simply. News of the attack spread fast. The Vryloth sent investigators to the base. When they saw the destruction, they were confused. One human did this? It was impossible. But then they saw the message carved into the metal. 7 days. Inquisitor Nyx was sent to study the scene. She was the Empire's best detective. She could find anyone and solve any mystery. But when she saw the base, even she was scared. The weapons were twisted like toys. The walls had holes punched through them. And that message? It was burned so deep into the metal that nothing could remove it. She reported to Emperor Kravix immediately. "Your Majesty, we have a serious problem. A human attacked the base at Sector 7. Not a group. One human. He destroyed everything and walked away." The Emperor laughed. "One human? Humans are weak. This is probably rebel propaganda." "I do not think so, Your Majesty," Nyx said. "I found something in the old records. Ancient warnings about Earth, about something called the Sentinel." The Emperor's smile faded. "Show me these records." They went deep into the Imperial Library. The oldest records were stored there. Warnings from species that existed before the Vryloth became powerful. One file was marked with Earth's star system. Nyx read it out loud. "Warning to all species. The planet called Earth is protected by a being known as the Sentinel. This being defeated the hive mind of Necros. This being closed the dimensional breach at the edge of the galaxy. Do not threaten Earth, do not harm its people. The Sentinel will wake and nothing can stop him." The Emperor was quiet. Then he said, "These are old stories, myths. We conquered Earth easily. There was no Sentinel." "Maybe he was asleep," Nyx said softly. "And now he is awake." On Earth, Taeyang was working with the Resistance. An old man had arrived at the base. His name was Jiwon Park. He was a historian who studied Earth's past. When he saw Taeyang, tears filled his eyes. "I spent my whole life proving you were real," Jiwon said. "Everyone said I was crazy. They said the stories about the Sentinel were just fairy tales." "They were not fairy tales," Taeyang said. "What else do the old records say?" Jiwon told him everything. About how humanity forgot its own history, how the technology that made Taeyang strong was lost, how humans became weak because they forgot how to be strong. "But the technology still exists," Jiwon said. "Hidden in places like the chamber where you slept. I know where some of the caches are. We can find them." Taeyang nodded. "Good. We will need weapons and equipment. But more important, we need to train your people. They have forgotten how to fight properly. He spent the next days teaching the resistance fighters. He showed them how to move, how to think like warriors. He could not make them as strong as himself, but he could make them better. Hana trained with him the most. She was fast and smart. She learned quickly. Taeyang saw potential in her that reminded him of warriors from the old days. "Why did you go to sleep?" she asked him one day. "If you were so powerful, why leave Earth alone?" Taeyang was quiet for a moment. "Because if I stayed, humans would never grow strong on their own. They would always depend on me. I thought if I slept for 1,000 years, they would build a civilization that could protect itself." He looked sad. "I was wrong to leave. I am sorry. It was not your fault," Hana said. "You could not know the sleep pod would malfunction." "Perhaps," Taeyang said. "But I will make it right now." Meanwhile, in the capital of the Vraloth Empire, the Galactic Council was meeting. The council included representatives from many species. They made laws for the whole galaxy. Ambassador Curie was there. She was human, but worked for the council. It was her job to speak for the conquered human territories. Most of the time, no one listened to her. But today was different. Today, everyone wanted to hear what she had to say. "Ambassador Curie," said Counselor Thexera. He was from an old species that remembered Earth before the conquest. "Is it true? Has the Sentinel awakened?" Curie did not know all the details, but she knew enough. "Yes. And he has given the Empire 7 days to leave Earth and free all human slaves." The council room exploded with noise. Some representatives were excited. Others were afraid. A few were angry. "The Empire must withdraw," Thexera said. The old warnings were clear. No one should fight the Sentinel. But Emperor Kravik stood up. He was watching the meeting from his throne world. "The Vraloth Empire does not run from threats. We will not abandon Earth. If this Sentinel wants a fight, we will give him one." Thexera shook his head. "You are making a mistake." "We will see," the Emperor said. 7 days passed. During that time, the Resistance found old weapon caches. They armed themselves with technology they barely understood. Taeyang taught them how to use it. Jiwan discovered training programs in the old computers, videos of ancient human warriors doing amazing things. The Resistance watched in wonder. This was what their ancestors could do. Daehyun finally accepted that Taeyang was real. "I have been fighting the Empire with stones and sticks," he said. "You fight them like you are a god." "We need you. All of humanity needs you." "I am not a god," Taeyang said. "I am just a soldier who has been fighting for a very long time. And soon you will fight beside me." On the 7th day, the sky above Earth turned dark. Not from clouds, from ships. Hundreds of warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They filled the space around the planet. It was the 3rd fleet of the Vraloth Empire, 500 warships. Each one could destroy a city with a single shot. Together they carried enough firepower to burn the surface of Earth clean. High Commander Vexara led the fleet. She was the one who conquered Earth 500 years ago. She hated humans. To her, they were insects that needed to be crushed. "Open a channel to the planet," she ordered. "I want to speak to this Sentinel." In the Resistance base, Taeyang received the message. He listened to Vexara's words. She told him to surrender. She said the Empire would show mercy if he gave up now. Taeyang sent a simple reply. "I gave you 7 days to leave. You chose to stay. Now you will learn why the old species feared humanity." He walked outside. The sky was dark with ships. Any normal person would be terrified. But Taeyang just looked up calmly. Hana ran after him. "What are you doing?" "There are 500 warships up there." "I know," Taeyang said. He turned to her and smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had done terrible things and would do them again if needed. They should have left. Then he lifted off the ground. No ship, no jetpack. He just flew straight up into the sky. Hana watched him go, becoming smaller and smaller until he disappeared into the darkness above. In the fleet, Vexara saw him coming. A single human flying through space toward 500 warships. She could not believe it. "All ship," she said. "Open fire." The 3rd Fleet fired everything they had. Enough weapons to destroy a small moon. The energy was so bright it lit up the night side of Earth like day, and Taeyang flew straight through it all, heading for the fleet. The battle for Earth had begun. The energy from 500 warships hit Taiyang at once. It was enough power to destroy a continent. The blast lit up space brighter than a star. On Earth, people stopped and stared at the sky. They thought it was the end. But when the light faded, Taiyang was still there. He was not running. He was not dodging. He just flew forward through the weapons fire like it was rain. High Commander Vexara stared at her screens. "That is impossible," she whispered. Taiyang reached the first line of ships. They were massive warships, each one a kilometer long. They had armor thick enough to survive nuclear explosions. But Taiyang did not need weapons. He was the weapon. He punched through the first ship's hull. His fist went through the metal like it was paper. Then he tore the hole wider and flew inside. The crew tried to stop him. They shot at him with guns and energy weapons. He ignored them. He found the ship's power core and pulled it apart with his bare hands. The ship went dark. Emergency systems activated, and the crew started evacuating. Taiyang gave them time to escape. Then he moved to the next ship. On Earth, the Resistance watched everything on their screens. Every major power in the galaxy was watching too. They all had sensors pointed at Earth. They all wanted to see if the legend was true. "He is destroying them one by one," Daehyun said. He could not believe what he was seeing. By himself. Hana watched the screens closely. She was learning. Taiyang was not just fighting. He was teaching. Every move he made was precise. He disabled ships, but let the crews escape. He was showing that humans could be powerful without being cruel. "He is holding back," she said quietly. "What?" Minseo asked. "How can you tell?" "Look at the damage," Hana said. "He could destroy those ships completely. Instead, he is just disabling them. He is giving people time to evacuate." Daehyun nodded slowly. "He is not a monster. He is a soldier. He follows rules even in war." In the fleet, Vexara was panicking. She had already lost 50 ships. The human was moving too fast. Her weapons could not touch him. Her shields could not stop him. Nothing worked. "Use the forbidden weapons," she ordered. Her officers looked shocked. "Commander, those weapons are banned by galactic law. They cause too much suffering." "I do not care," Vexara shouted. "Use them." Now, they fired bioweapons that could kill all life on a planet. They fired reality warpers that could tear holes in space. They fired weapons that most species were too afraid to build. Taiyang adapted to each one. The bioweapons could not affect him. His body was too different. The reality warpers bent space around him, but he simply corrected his flight path. Every weapon they used, he found a way to counter. He had fought for thousands of years against enemies far more dangerous than the Vryloth. He knew every trick, every tactic, every weapon type. The Empire was learning a hard lesson. They were not fighting a normal human. They were fighting a warrior who had spent millennia preparing for every possible threat. Then Vexara made a mistake. She was desperate to draw Taiyang away from the fleet. So she ordered 20 ships to move toward Earth and target the surface. "If we attack the planet, he will have to defend it," she said. The ships moved into position. They locked their weapons on major cities. But before they could fire, Taiyang was there. He had been holding back before. Not anymore. He moved faster than their sensors could track. One moment he was a kilometer away. The next moment he was inside their formation. Ships started exploding, not disabled, destroyed. He was not being gentle anymore. In 30 seconds, all 20 ships were gone. The galaxy watched in horror. This was the true power of the Sentinel. This was what happened when someone threatened innocence. Then Taiyang did something no one expected. He appeared on Vexara's flagship. Not outside, inside, on the bridge. One moment he was not there. The next moment he was standing in front of her command chair. Vexara's guards attacked immediately. They were the Empire's best warriors. They wore power armor and carried weapons that could cut through steel. Taiyang disarmed them without hurting them. He moved between them like water, taking their weapons and throwing them aside. Then he stood in front of Vexara. She tried to activate her personal shield. It did not work. She pulled out a weapon. He took it from her hand before she could fire. "You tried to attack Earth's surface," Taeyang said. His voice was calm but cold. "You tried to kill innocents." "You are just one human," Vexara said. She was trying to sound brave, but her voice shook. "The Empire will send more fleets. We will destroy you." "No," Taeyang said. "You will deliver a message to your Emperor. He has one chance. Pull all forces out of human space. Release all human slaves. Pay what you owe for the suffering you caused. Do this, or I will come for him next." He left the bridge the same way he entered. Just disappeared. Vexara collapsed into her chair. Her hands were shaking. She had conquered planets. She had destroyed civilizations. But she had never been so scared in her life. The battle lasted 6 hours total. When it was over, the Third Fleet was destroyed. Most of the ships were just disabled. The crews had survived. But 10% of the fleet was completely gone. Those were the ships that tried to attack Earth directly. Taeyang returned to Earth. The resistance base cheered when they saw him land. But he did not look happy. He looked tired. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. Hana found him sitting alone outside the base. "You won," she said. "You defeated 500 warships." "I killed thousands of people," Taeyang said quietly. "Yes, they were trying to kill innocents. Yes, it was necessary. But that does not make it easier." Hana sat down next to him. "Is this what it was like before, when you were protecting Earth the first time?" "Yes," Taeyang said. "Every battle I hoped would be the last. Every time I hoped people would learn to stop fighting, but they never did, and I had to keep fighting to protect those who could not protect themselves." "That is why you went to sleep," Hana said. "You were tired." "I was tired of being needed," Taeyang admitted. "I wanted humanity to grow strong enough that I was not necessary anymore. I wanted them to be able to stand on their own. And now we can," Hana said. "You showed us how. You gave us the tools and the knowledge. Next time we will fight beside you." Taeyang looked at her. "You are learning fast. You remind me of warriors from the old days, strong and smart but also kind. That is the most important part. Being powerful is easy. Being powerful and choosing to be gentle is hard." Across the galaxy, the news spread. The Battle of Seoul was the most documented military engagement in history. Every species saw what happened. They saw one human defeat an entire fleet. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Counselor Vexara stood before them all. The old warnings were true. Humanity is not weak. They were only vulnerable because their protector was sleeping. Now he is awake and we must decide how to respond. Some species wanted to grant humans full rights immediately. Others were afraid. What if humans became too strong? What if they wanted revenge for centuries of slavery? Ambassador Curie stood up. "Humanity does not want to conquer anyone. We just want freedom. We want to live in peace." The Sentinel showed restraint even in battle. He could have killed everyone but chose not to. That should tell you what kind of people we are. But not everyone was convinced. The galaxy was changing, and change made people nervous. On the Vryloth capital world, Emperor Kravix received reports from Vexara. He also received a report from Inquisitor Nyx. She had studied everything about the battle. "Your Majesty," Nyx said, "the Sentinel is beyond our ability to defeat. He is not just strong. He is experienced and intelligent. He holds back to minimize casualties. He follows a code of honor even in war. And most importantly, if humans rediscover the technology that created him, they could make more like him." "Are you saying we should surrender?" the Emperor asked angrily. "I am saying we should negotiate," Nyx said. "We can give them freedom and survive, or we can fight and face extinction." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "No, I will not bow to a human. I will not let the Empire look weak. We will fight. Nyx closed her eyes. She had known he would say that. Pride was going to destroy them all. The Emperor began calling in every fleet, every ship, every ally. He was preparing for total war. He would throw everything the Empire had at Earth. If the Sentinel was so powerful, then they would test him with numbers he could not possibly defeat. Call the Grand Armada, he ordered. Every ship in the Empire, every ally we have. We will bring 5,000 warships to Earth. Let us see if one human can defeat that. The message reached Earth quickly. Human colonies across the galaxy heard about it. The Empire was preparing its greatest military force in history. They were coming to destroy Earth once and for all. Daihyun came to find Taeyang. The Empire is gathering 5,000 ships. That is 10 times what you just faced. Can you fight that many? Taeyang stood up. He looked at the sky. Somewhere out there, the Empire was preparing to attack. I can, he said, but I should not have to. This time, humanity will fight with me. How? Hana asked. We are just starting to find old weapons. We barely know how to use them. 3 months passed. The Empire needed time to gather 5,000 warships from across the galaxy. Taeyang used that time well. Every day he worked with the Resistance. Every day humans became stronger. Jiwan found 12 technology caches hidden across Earth. Inside were weapons, ships, and armor from the old days. But more important, he found training systems, virtual reality programs that taught humans how their ancestors fought. Hana spent every spare moment in the training systems. She learned to fly ships that moved faster than anything the Vryloth had. She learned to use weapons that could cut through their armor. She learned combat techniques that made her 10 times more effective. She was not alone. Hundreds of resistance fighters trained alongside her. They were learning what their ancestors knew. Humans were not weak. They had just forgotten their own strength. But the training was hard. Many people failed. The old technology required focus and discipline. It required pushing yourself beyond normal limits. Not everyone could do it. Daehyun watched his best fighters train. This is incredible, he told Taeyang. In 3 months, they have become better than they were in 20 years of fighting. They had the potential all along, Taeyang said. They just needed someone to show them how. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, something else was happening. Human slaves and workers were watching the news. They heard about the Sentinel. They heard about the battle. They heard that the Empire was afraid. Ambassador Curie was coordinating with them secretly. She sent messages to human colonies everywhere. Get ready, she told them. When the time comes, we will all rise together. On Earth, Taeyang was teaching Hana advanced techniques. One day she asked him a difficult question. What if we lose? What if 5,000 ships are too many, even for you? Taeyang was quiet for a moment. Then I will make sure you and the others survive. I will hold them off while you escape. No, Hana said firmly. We fight together or not at all. You taught us that we are stronger than we thought. Now let us prove it, Taeyang smiled. You remind me why I protect humanity. You never give up even when things look impossible. The day finally came. The Grand Armada arrived. 5,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel around Earth. They filled the space above the planet like a dark cloud. Every screen on Earth showed the same sight. The largest military force in galactic history had come to destroy them. Emperor Kravix himself led the fleet. He stood on the bridge of his command ship and looked at Earth below. This ends today, he said. Send the message. The message was broadcast across all channels. Humans of Earth, you have 1 hour to surrender. If the Sentinel does not give himself up, we will destroy your planet. This is your final warning. In the Resistance base, fighters prepared for battle. They wore armor from the old caches. They carried weapons that hummed with power. They were afraid, but they were ready. Taeyang addressed them all. Today, the galaxy will see what humanity really is. We are not victims. We are not weak. We are warriors who chose to be peaceful. But when forced to fight, we fight to win. Follow your training. Trust each other. And remember, you are not fighting for revenge. You are fighting for freedom. Hana led the first squadron into space. 20 fighters launched from hidden bases. They were small ships, but fast and deadly. The Resistance had learned to use them well. The Vryloth fleet saw them coming and laughed. 20 ships against 5,000? It was suicide. But then the human ships opened fire. Their weapons cut through Vryloth's shields like they were nothing. 3 enemy warships exploded before the fleet could react. What kind of weapons are those? An officer asked Kravix. Old human weapons, the Emperor said quietly. They are using technology from before we conquered them. I did not know they still had it. Then Taeyang joined the battle. He flew straight toward the center of the armada. The fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of weapons targeted him at once. But this time he was not alone. Human ships created a formation around him. They used old tactics, working together like a dance. When Vryloth ships targeted Taeyang, human fighters hit them from the side. When the enemy tried to surround the humans, Taeyang tore through their lines. The galaxy was watching. Every major power had sensors focused on Earth. They saw humans fighting not as slaves but as warriors. They saw coordination and skill that rivaled the best military forces in known space. How is this possible? The Counselor Thexara said. He was watching from the Galactic Council chambers. 3 months ago, humans could barely fight back. Now they are matching the Empire's elite forces. Ambassador Curie stood beside him. We were never weak. We just forgot who we were. The Sentinel reminded us. But the Empire had numbers on their side. For every ship the humans destroyed, 10 more took its place. Hana's squadron was taking damage. They were running out of ammunition. They could not keep this up forever. Then Taeyang saw what the Emperor was planning. Kravix was moving his command ships into position around Earth. He was preparing to use a weapon. A terrible weapon that the galaxy thought was destroyed long ago. It was called a reality bomb. When it exploded, it did not just destroy matter. It destroyed space itself. Everything within a star system would cease to exist. The Empire was willing to destroy Earth completely just to kill Taeyang. All human forces, retreat, Taeyang called out. Get away from the planet now. What about you? Hana asked over the communication channel. I will stop it, Taeyang said. Just go. The human ships pulled back. They watched as Taeyang flew toward the command ships. The Emperor saw him coming and smiled. Activate the weapon, he ordered. The reality bomb began charging. Energy built up that made normal weapons look like toys. When it detonated, the Sol system would be erased from existence. Earth, the sun, everything would be gone. Taeyang reached the command ships. He did not attack them. Instead, he positioned himself at the center of the energy field. He was going to contain the explosion. What is he doing? Kravix asked. That weapon will destroy him. He is protecting Earth, Inquisitor Nick said quietly. She was watching from another ship. He is going to try to absorb the blast. That is impossible, the Emperor said. No one can survive a reality bomb. The weapon fired. Reality itself tore apart. Space screamed. Light and darkness mixed together. The explosion was so powerful that sensors across the galaxy detected it, but it did not spread. Taeyang held it. He wrapped the explosion in his own energy field. The reality bomb's power tried to destroy him. It burned through his armor. It tore at his body, but he did not let go. For 30 seconds he held the explosion. 30 seconds of pure agony. His body was not meant to contain that much power. But he held on because Earth was behind him. Billions of people who needed protecting. Finally, the explosion faded. Reality stabilized. Earth was safe. But Taeyang was falling. His armor was destroyed. His body was badly hurt. He had survived, but just barely. Hana and her squadron caught him before he hit the atmosphere. They brought him back to their ship carefully. He was unconscious and barely breathing. The Vryloth fleet watched in stunned silence. The Sentinel had contained a reality bomb. He had done the impossible. And even though he was hurt, he had proven his point. Earth could not be destroyed as long as he lived. Emperor Kravix stared at the screens. His ultimate weapon had failed. The Sentinel was injured but alive. And now the fleet was vulnerable. They had used their most powerful weapon and it had not worked. Then something else happened. Across the galaxy, humans began their uprising. On 1,000 worlds, slaves stopped working. Labor forces became armies. Human crews on alien ships took control. It was coordinated perfectly. Ambassador Curie had planned it all. The message was simple. The Sentinel protected Earth. Now we free ourselves. The Empire's economy started collapsing. They depended on human labor. Without it, their whole civilization began to fail. Factories stopped. Mines closed. Transport systems failed. And the Armada, sitting in Earth orbit, received emergency calls from 100 worlds. Our human workers are rebelling. Send help! Kravix realized the truth. He could not defeat Earth. Even if he destroyed the planet, humanity would still win. They were spread across the galaxy now. They were organized. They were fighting back, and the Sentinel, even injured, was still a threat. If Kravix continued fighting, the humans would eventually kill him. Or worse, the Sentinel would recover and come for him personally. Withdraw the fleet, he said quietly. Your Majesty? His officers could not believe it. Withdraw the fleet, Kravix shouted. We cannot win this. We lost the moment he woke up. The Grand Armada began leaving Earth's orbit. 5,000 warships retreating from 20 human fighters and 1 wounded protector. It was the greatest military defeat in the Empire's history. On Earth, people came out of hiding. They looked up at the sky and saw the enemy fleet leaving. After 500 years, Earth was free. Humans everywhere celebrated. They cried and laughed and hugged each other. But in the medical bay, Hana sat beside Taiyang's bed. He was still unconscious. The doctors said he would survive, but he needed time to heal. Containing the reality bomb had almost killed him. You saved us all, she whispered. Again, just like the old stories said you would. 6 months passed. Taiyang recovered slowly. The reality bomb had damaged his body in ways that took time to heal. But he was alive, and that was what mattered. While he healed, the galaxy changed around him. The Vryloth Empire collapsed completely. Without human workers, their economy failed. Without military power, their conquered worlds rebelled. The empire that ruled for 1,000 years broke into dozens of small states fighting each other. Humanity claimed their freedom. All across the galaxy, human colonies declared independence. They formed something new called the Free Terran Collective. It was not an empire. It was a group of free worlds working together. The Galactic Council had to respond. They called a special meeting. Commander Dahyun and Ambassador Curie went to represent humanity. It was the first time humans were invited as equals instead of as conquered subjects. The council chamber was full. Representatives from hundreds of species waited. Some were friendly. Others were angry. A few were scared. The balance of power in the galaxy had changed and no one knew what would happen next. Counselor Thexara spoke first. Humanity has proven their strength. But with strength comes responsibility. We need to know your intentions. Will you seek revenge? Will you try to conquer? Dahyun stood up. He was not afraid of them. We do not want revenge. We do not want to conquer anyone. We just want what every species wants. Freedom, safety, peace. The only thing we demand is that those who enslaved us pay for what they did. Give us our freedom officially. Return what was stolen. Make sure it never happens again. Some representatives nodded. Others argued. But in the end, they agreed. The Free Terran Collective was officially recognized. Human worlds were granted independence, and the species that participated in slavery were required to pay reparations. It was not perfect. Some species refused to pay. Others tried to cause problems. But it was a start. Humanity had a voice in galactic affairs now. They were no longer victims. While this was happening, Jiwon discovered something troubling. Someone had broken into the ancient archives. Someone had stolen data about the enhancement process that created Taiyang, the files that explained how to make super soldiers. Who would do this? Hana asked when she heard. I know who, Jiwon said sadly. It was Minho. He was one of our scientists. He believes we need more warriors like Taiyang to keep humanity safe. Taiyang was walking now, though he was still weak. When he heard about the theft, his face grew serious. We need to find him. The enhancement process is dangerous. People can die, and even if they survive, they will have power without the experience to use it wisely. They tracked Minho to a hidden facility on a remote moon. When they arrived, they found something shocking. 20 humans were already undergoing the enhancement process. They were in tanks similar to the one Taiyang slept in, but the process was moving faster. Too fast, Minho met them at the entrance. He was a thin man with tired eyes. I knew you would come, he said, but I had to do this. The galaxy will always see us as weak unless we have more protectors, more sentinels. These people volunteered, Minho continued. They want to be strong enough to defend humanity. They want to make sure we never suffer again. Taiyang looked at the tanks. He recognized some of the faces. They were resistance fighters he had trained. Good people who wanted to help. Did you tell them the cost? He asked quietly. What cost? Minho asked. The cost of power, Taeyang said. Do you think I enjoyed fighting? Do you think I wanted to spend thousands of years in war? I did it because I had to. Because no one else could. But it took everything from me. Friends, family, a normal life. Is that what you want for them? Before Minho could answer, alarms started blaring. Ships were approaching the facility. They were Vryloth ships, but not from the Empire. These were extremists, remnants of the military who wanted revenge. They had tracked the facility somehow. They want to destroy the enhanced humans before they wake up, Jiwon said, reading the sensors. 20 ships, all armed. Taeyang looked at the tanks. The people inside were not ready yet. The enhancement process was only half complete. They could not fight. They could not even wake up safely yet. But if the facility was destroyed, they would die. I will stop them, Taeyang said. He started walking toward the exit. Wait, Hana said. You are still healing. You should not fight yet. I have no choice, Taeyang said. Those people in the tanks cannot defend themselves. Someone has to protect them. Then we fight with you, Hana said. She signaled her squadron. They had followed Taeyang to the facility. 20 human fighters against 20 Vryloth warships. The odds were even, at least in numbers. The battle was fierce. Taeyang was not at full strength, but he was still dangerous. The human fighters had learned well. They used tactics Taeyang taught them. They worked together like a single unit. But the Vryloth were desperate. They used weapons that could destroy the whole moon just to kill the enhanced humans. Taeyang had to protect the facility while fighting. It pushed him to his limits. Then something unexpected happened. The tanks in the facility started opening. The enhanced humans were waking up early. The battle had triggered their systems somehow. They were only half-enhanced, confused and disoriented. But they saw Taeyang fighting. They saw him protecting them even though he was hurt. They saw Hana and the others risking their lives. And they understood what it meant to be a protector. The partially enhanced humans joined the fight. They were not as strong as Taeyang, but they were stronger than normal humans. More importantly, they followed his example. They protected each other. They fought with discipline and restraint. Together, they drove off the Vryloth attackers. The facility was saved. But the enhanced humans were in trouble. The process had been interrupted. They needed medical attention quickly. Jiwon worked with Minho to stabilize them. It took days, but all 20 survived. They were enhanced now, but not to Taeyang's level. They were somewhere between normal humans and the Sentinel. Strong enough to make a difference, but not so powerful that they lost their humanity. When they recovered, Taeyang spoke to them all. You have power now, more than most people will ever have. But power alone means nothing. What matters is how you use it. Will you use it to hurt, to conquer, to make others afraid? Or will you use it to protect, to defend, to give others hope? One of the enhanced humans, a young woman named Somin, spoke up. You showed us the answer. When we woke up, we saw you fighting even though you were hurt. You were protecting us, people you barely knew. That is what we want to be. Protectors like you. Taeyang nodded. Then I will train you. But you must promise to follow a code. You will defend the innocent. You will only fight when necessary. You will always try to solve problems peacefully first, and you will be accountable for your actions. Can you promise that? They all agreed. Together they formed something new. The Sentinel Corps. A small group of enhanced humans dedicated to protecting human space and innocent life anywhere in the galaxy. Hana was chosen to lead them. She had proven herself in battle and in wisdom. She understood that strength without kindness was just cruelty. The Corps would be powerful, but they would also be good. The Galactic Council was nervous when they heard about the Sentinel Corps, but Daehyun assured them. They are not a threat. They are peacekeepers. They will help maintain order, not break it. Time passed. The Free Terran Collective grew stronger. Human colonies built new cities and ships. They traded with other species. They made allies. Slowly, the galaxy stopped seeing them as former slaves and started seeing them as equals. The Sentinel Corps operated throughout known space. They stopped pirates. They helped disaster victims. They mediated conflicts. People began to respect them not for their power, but for how they used it. Taeyang watched it all with satisfaction. This was what he wanted when he first went to sleep. A humanity that could stand on its own. A humanity that was strong but also kind. A humanity that others could trust. One day, Hana visited him. He was teaching at an academy he founded on Earth, not just combat training. He taught diplomacy, ethics, and wisdom. He taught young humans how to be leaders. You could go back to sleep, Hana said. You earned your rest. Humanity is safe now. Taeyang smiled. I spent thousands of years fighting. I think I would rather spend the next years teaching. Fighting made me tired, but teaching? Teaching gives me hope. What do you teach them? Hana asked. I teach them that power is a tool, not a goal. I teach them that true strength is knowing when not to fight. I teach them that the best victory is one where no one has to die. He paused. Most importantly, I teach them that humanity's greatest strength is not our power. It is our choice to use that power wisely. Years went by. 20 years after Taeyang woke up, the galaxy was very different. The Free Terran Collective was now a major power. They had alliances with dozens of species. They had colonies on hundreds of worlds. They had ships that explored the farthest reaches of space. But more importantly, they had respect. Other species came to human worlds to learn. Not just technology, but philosophy. They wanted to understand how a species that was once enslaved became so successful. The answer was simple. Humans remembered where they came from. They remembered the suffering. And they chose to build something better. They chose to be protectors instead of conquerors. They chose wisdom over revenge. Of course, Hana said. That is what we do. We help where we can. We protect those who need it. Just like you taught us, Taeyang nodded. Then my work is done. Humanity does not need me to protect them anymore. They can protect themselves. And more than that, they can protect others. Your work is not done, Hana said gently. There are still students who need to learn. Still young protectors who need guidance. Still a galaxy that needs to see that strength and kindness can go together. She was right. His fighting days might be over, but he still had a purpose. He would teach. He would guide. He would show the galaxy what humanity could be at its best. The stars above them shone bright. Each one represented a possibility, a world to explore, a species to meet, a future to build, and humanity would be part of all of it. The lost protector of Earth had awakened. The galaxy had watched in fear, but now they watched in hope. Because the Sentinel had shown them something important. Power without wisdom leads to destruction, but power with wisdom, that leads to peace.